Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. In Wimbledon exit, Aryna Sabalenka reflects on what she learned from her Coco Gauff comments at French Open. Aryna Sabalenka wasn't going to make the same mistake she did the last time she lost in a Grand Slam tournament. "You're not going to see a Roland Garros press conference," Sabalenka said jokingly to open her news conference Thursday, following her Wimbledon semi-final defeat to American Amanda Anisimova. Sabalenka was referencing her post-match comments that downplayed Coco Gauff's French Open final victory in June. Sabalenka added before laughing, "Anyone who was waiting for that, you can leave right now." Sabalenka, a 27-year-old from Belarus and the world number one, admitted that Anisimova was the better player Thursday and played braver tennis than her. Anisimova, 23, came into Wimbledon as the number 13 seed and now will play for her first-ever Grand Slam title. She outlasted Sabalenka in a back-and-forth semi-final match 6-4, 4-6, 6-4. In the process, Anisimova improved her head-to-head record against Sabalenka to 6-3. Sabalenka, who noted her return game was not up to her standard Thursday, found herself trailing 4-1 in the final set. "I still came back. I still had chances." Sabalenka's remarks Thursday were much more composed than the ones she delivered last month after losing to Gauff, who had also defeated her in the 2023 U.S. Open final. At the time, Sabalenka attributed Gauff's French Open final victory more to Sabalenka's own mistakes. She made 70 unforced errors, and less to Gauff's level of play. Sabalenka went as far as suggesting that Iga Swiatek would have beaten Gauff had Swiatek advanced to the final. The next day, Sabalenka walked back those comments in an Instagram post, stating that Gauff deserved to win the French Open final. Sabalenka later told Eurosport Germany that she reached out to Gauff to personally apologize. Sabalenka was asked Thursday how her French Open final defeat to Gauff and the subsequent backlash she received for her post-match comments influenced the humble way she processed her Wimbledon semi-final loss to Anisimova. Thursday's semi-final match between Sabalenka and Anisimova included 2 delays, each related to fans struggling with the London heat. During both stoppages, Sabalenka offered help by bringing water over to the stands. "I just hope they feel better," Sabalenka said after the match. "It didn't interrupt my play in any way. I was able to play my game. It didn't matter how long the pause was. I just hope they feel better." Sabalenka is a 3-time Grand Slam champion, but she's still searching for her first Wimbledon title. Grass and grace, Aryna Sabalenka's quiet evolution. The green lawns of Wimbledon had closed their gates on Aryna Sabalenka a little sooner than she had hoped. There was no headline-grabbing semifinal clash, no dramatic championship rally, just a quiet exit, a humbling moment, wrapped in the gentle rustle of center courts whispering traditions. But in that silence, something stirred. Not just disappointment or fatigue, but reflection. Reflection that reached back beyond the freshly clipped grass, all the way to the red clay of Roland Garros, where Sabalenka had made headlines not just with her tennis, but with her words. Her comments about Coco Gauff, pointed, passionate, and to some, prickly, had ignited conversation far beyond the baseline. She hadn't intended them to spark controversy, but emotions, like drop shots, don't always land where you aim. Paris, passion, and pressure. It had been a tense post-match press conference in Paris. Aryna, victorious yet visibly burdened, had been asked about the ever-rising star, Coco Gauff. Sabalenka, never one to mince words, had offered a response both honest and fiery. "She's a great competitor, of course, but sometimes it feels like the media builds her up beyond what she's proven on court. We've all been young. We've all been hyped. The real challenge is staying consistent when the spotlight gets hot." The room fell still. A dozen pens scribbled. 100 keyboards clicked. Within minutes, Twitter, or whatever it's called now, had the quote in neon, "Sabalenka throws shade at Gauff." Only that's not what she had meant. Not exactly. It wasn't shade, she later clarified. It was recognition of how hard this sport is and how quickly people forget how much work goes into every step. But nuance is hard to headline. Wimbledon, the fall and the flicker. Wimbledon is the tournament of restraint. Polite applause. Stiff collars. White attire. It's a place where emotion is tucked behind tradition, where even triumph feels tempered by decorum. For Sabalenka, whose game is as explosive as her personality, it's always been a paradox. Her third-round loss this year felt surreal. A match she was expected to win, lost in a flurry of unforced errors and mounting self-doubt. As she sat at the press conference, ponytail slightly loosened, she was quieter than usual, measured. A reporter asked her if she regretted her French Open comments. Sabalenka paused, not out of hesitation, but out of intention. "I don't regret being honest," she began, "but I've learned that honesty without empathy can land wrong. I think I projected my own insecurities onto Coco. I admire her more than I realized." That sentence lingered in the air, soft, vulnerable, raw. Between rivals, a mirror. Coco Gauff is everything Sabalenka once was, and still is in many ways. Young, fearless, media-savvy, a symbol. Sabalenka, now 26, has moved into the seasoned veteran tier, albeit reluctantly. Watching Gauff fly past expectations is inspiring, but also triggering. Because tennis is lonely. There are no teammates to blame, no timeouts to regroup. Every mistake is your own. And when the world celebrates one star, it's hard not to feel your own light dimming. But Wimbledon, in its own odd way, gave Sabalenka space. Not the victory she wanted, but a window to look inward. She admitted, candidly, "I used to feel like other players were either competition or cautionary tales. But Coco, she's neither. She's her own path. And that doesn't make mine any less." Rewriting the narrative. In the weeks between Paris and London, Sabalenka had started journaling, an unusual ritual for a player known more for ferocity than reflection. Page by page, she poured out frustrations, comparisons, memories of being the underdog, the newcomer with a big serve and bigger ambition. One entry read, "Why do I care so much about what people think? Why do I feel like every win has to prove something to someone else?" That question haunted her, and slowly the answer emerged, because for too long, Aryna had equated validation with visibility, praise with presence. If someone else shone, it felt like a shadow over her. But now she was learning that strength isn't just about hitting the hardest forehand. Sometimes it's about staying soft, staying open. In that spirit, she reached out, quietly, privately, to Coco Gauff after Wimbledon. "Hey," she typed, "just wanted to say, you're doing amazing. Sorry if I came off wrong in Paris. Was more about me than you." Gauff replied with grace, as she so often does. "No worries. We all get heat. Appreciate the message." Simple, mature, the kind of exchange that wouldn't make headlines, but might change hearts. Beyond the baseline, what do you learn when you don't win? Sometimes more than when you do. Sabalenka walked away from Wimbledon without a trophy, but with something subtler, perspective. The realization that every rival is also a reflection, every defeat an invitation to dig deeper. In interviews post-exit, she started speaking differently, not less passionately, but more purposefully. When asked again about Coco, she smiled. "She's going to win a lot. She already has. And I'll be cheering for her, except when she's across the net for me." The room laughed, not nervously this time, but warmly. Sabalenka's tone had shifted, from defensive to generous. That's the thing about grace. It's not something you learn when you're winning. It's what you find in the aftermath. Epilogue, the quiet wins. Back home, Sabalenka resumed training. She added meditation to her regimen, not because it promised immediate results, but because she wanted more silence in her life. More pauses between the rallies of expectation. She knows the headlines will always come and go. Today's controversy is tomorrow's forgotten tweet. But how she feels about herself, how she shows up for the game, and for others, that's what lingers. Tennis will continue. Coco will rise. Aryna will rally. And maybe, just maybe, when the next Grand Slam comes around, it won't be just about points or trophies, but about how far she's come, off the court as much as on it. Because sometimes, the most important growth doesn't happen under the lights, but in the quiet after the fall.